Somewhere around our 60s, life begins to whisper to us in a different tone. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's quiet and subtle, more like a shift in the air than a sudden storm. But make no mistake, it's a turning point. And those who listen to that whisper early tend to live their later years with a lot more joy, clarity, and peace. You see, when you're in your 30s or 40s, life feels like a fast moving train. You're juggling work, raising kids, building a home, paying bills, and managing expectations. Your days are packed, your mind's always spinning, and your body just keeps pushing forward, even when it's tired. Back then, health felt more like an afterthought. Time felt like something you had endless amounts of, and friendships, well, they were often just squeezed in between everything else. But after 60, everything changes. You start to see life differently. The noise quiets down, the job might be done, the house might be emptier, the phone calls are slow, and suddenly you're left with a very real question: what matters now? That's the moment when many people realize that the things they once chased, money, titles, packed schedules, don't bring them the same satisfaction they once did. What matters now is health, peace, and connection. What matters now is feeling like your days are still full of purpose, even if your responsibilities have changed. And here's where the idea of friends comes in. Now, when I say friends, I don't just mean the people in your life, though yes, real friendships matter deeply. But today we're going to talk about the three most important companions you need by your side once you hit your 60s and beyond. These are the friends that will carry you through your 70s, your 80s, and hopefully even your 90s. And if you care for them properly, they'll make sure those years are not just longer, but brighter, fuller, and more meaningful. So what are these three friends? They are your physical health, your mental health, your social life. Simple, right? But don't be fooled. Just because they're simple to name doesn't mean they're simple to maintain. Most people ignore at least one of them, and that's when life after 60 starts to feel heavy, lonely, or uncertain. That's why this video exists, not to scare you, not to overwhelm you, but to remind you gently, honestly, and with love that now is the perfect time to put energy back into what counts. Now is when your body, mind, and relationships need your full attention, because they will shape the quality of your days from here on out. Now, let's be real. You may have spent your 40s and 50s putting everyone else first. You may have been a provider, a caregiver, a parent, or a partner. You may have been too busy surviving to check in with your body or your emotions. That's okay. That's life. But now is your moment. After 60, you get to pause and recalibrate. You get to choose what the next chapter looks like. You get to build your life around the things that truly feed your soul and let go of the things that don't. And let me tell you, there is something deeply freeing about that. Now, before we move on, I want you to take just 10 seconds and think about how you're feeling in your body today. Are you energized or tired? Do you feel strong, or have you noticed weakness creeping in? How about emotionally? Are you peaceful, or are there quiet worries in the back of your mind? There's no right or wrong answer here. This isn't about guilt or judgment. It's about awareness, because once you're aware, you can start making better choices. Once you're aware, you stop drifting through your days and start living them with intention. And here's the beautiful truth. It's never too late to start paying attention to these three friends. Even if you're in your late 60s, your 70s, or even your 80s, you still have time to strengthen these areas. You still have time to rebuild, to reconnect, to revive the parts of yourself that may have been put on the back burner for too long. So as we begin this journey together, I want you to stay open, stay curious, and most of all, stay hopeful. Because over the next few parts, we're going to dive deep into these three companions. We're going to talk about what they need from you, how they show up for you when you treat them well, and what happens when they're ignored for too long. This isn't about perfection, it's about partnership. These friends want to walk beside you for as long as possible, but they need your help. Let's begin with the first one, the friend that never lies, never quits, and never stops talking: your physical health. Let's be honest. In our younger years, our 30s, 40s, and even 50s, our body gave us a lot of grace. You could skip meals, stay up too late, forget your vitamins, ignore that nagging knee pain, and somehow your body just kept moving. It adapted, it compensated, it forgave. But somewhere after 60, sometimes earlier, sometimes later, that forgiveness starts to fade. You begin to notice things. Your energy isn't as high. Your legs might feel heavier when you stand up. Your back might ache after sitting too long. And what used to be a quick bounce back from a cold now takes a week or even two. That's not your imagination. It's your body letting you know it needs a little more from you now. Not punishment, not perfect, just attention. Here's something I want you to remember. Your physical health is not just about survival anymore. It's about freedom. Think about it. What good is retirement if your knees can't carry you on a nature walk? What joy is there in grandkids visiting if you don't have the energy to play? What use is a beautiful day if your joints ache too much to step outside? When you take care of your physical health, you're not just living longer, you're living better. So let's talk about what this friend needs from you. Because physical health after 60 isn't about pushing yourself to run marathons or lift massive weights. It's about being consistent, thoughtful, and kind to your body. Let's start with movement. You've probably heard the phrase, move it or lose it. And it's painfully true after 60. The moment you stop using your muscles, your balance, your mobility, they begin to weaken. It doesn't happen overnight, but it happens quicker than most of us realize. And once it starts, it creates a cycle. Weakness leads to less activity. Less activity leads to stiffness. Stiffness leads to pain. Pain leads to fear of moving. And that fear, that's when things like falls, fractures, and frailty creep in. But the good news, you can break that cycle. You can flip it. Start walking again, even if it's just 5 or 10 minutes at first. Take the stairs if you can. Try light resistance bands, gentle yoga, water aerobics, chair exercises, stretching before bed, dance in your kitchen to your favorite song. Every movement counts. The second piece of the puzzle, fuel. Let's talk about food, not in the diet sense, but in the nourishment sense. Your body in your 60s, 70s, and 80s does not need what it did in your 30s. You may need fewer calories, but you need more nutrition. That means whole foods, fresh vegetables, colorful fruits, clean proteins, healthy fats like olive oil and nuts, plenty of water, less sugar, less processed junk. Your body is more sensitive now. The engine still runs, but it needs better fuel. Eating well is about being perfect. It's about giving your body the nutrients it needs to repair, fight inflammation, support brain health, and keep your heart strong. And yes, treats are okay, but they should be treats, not the foundation of your plate. Now, let's talk about rest, because rest is just as important as movement. After 60, your body needs more time to recover. That doesn't mean you should sit around all day, but it does mean sleep, hydration, and relaxation are key. Quality sleep helps your muscles heal, your brain reset, and your immune system stay strong. So if you've been skimping on rest, it's time to give your body what it's been asking for. And here's one more thing, regular checkups. I know they're not fun, but seeing your doctor, checking your blood pressure, cholesterol, bone density, and screening for things like diabetes or early signs of heart disease, this isn't fear, it's wisdom. Preventative care saves lives. You're not being paranoid, you're being smart. You're showing up for your body like it's shown up for you all these years. Now let's flip the perspective for a moment. Imagine how life could feel if your joints ached less, if your energy was higher, if your balance was better, if you could travel without getting winded, play with your grandkids on the floor, walk up the stairs without thinking twice. That's the kind of life physical health unlocks after 60. And here's the truth, my friend, it's not too late, not even close. Studies show that people who begin exercising in their 60s, even their 70s and 80s, can reverse some effects of aging. They build muscle, they improve heart health, they boost brain function, they gain confidence, and the best part, they gain years, not just in lifespan, but in quality of life. So if you've been thinking, it's too late for me, stop. Today is a perfect day to begin, even if it's a short walk around the block, even if it's swapping out soda for water, even if it's stretching for 10 minutes in the morning. Every little action is a deposit into your health bank, and those deposits add up. Your physical health is a loyal friend, but like any relationship, it needs your attention, it needs your consistency, and when you give it that, it gives you back freedom, energy, vitality, joy. So treat your body like the old friend it is. Feed it well, move it gently, rest it properly, and most importantly, listen to it because it's speaking to you and it wants to walk beside you for a long, long time. Ready to meet friend? 2, let's move on to your mental health, your mind, your spirit, your emotional core. If your body is the vehicle that carries you through life, then your mind is the driver. And after 60, that driver becomes even more important because now the road isn't always smooth. There are turns you didn't expect. Some hills take more effort. There may even be detours and roadblocks that you couldn't have predicted. That's why your mental health isn't just a luxury, it's a necessity. Let's be honest. Life after 60 can be full of change. Retirement, the kids moving out, the loss of loved ones, changes in routine, changes in identity. The rhythm of life slows down, and for many people, that shift can feel unsettling. You may find yourself asking questions like, who am I without my job? What's my purpose now? Why do I feel anxious even when everything seems fine? Why does the world feel quieter but not in a peaceful way? If you've felt any of these things, you are not alone. It's incredibly common. That's why mental health is one of the most important friends to nurture as you move through your 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond. Now, let's start by clearing something up. Mental health doesn't mean mental illness. Mental health means emotional balance, mental strength, peace of mind, joy, confidence, clarity. It's not about being happy all the time. It's about knowing how to handle the hard moments when they come and trusting that you'll get through them. Because they do come. Grief, loneliness, doubt, worry. After 60, they can show up more often. But when your mental health is strong, you can face those emotions without getting lost in them. So how do we take care of this, friend? Let's start with something simple. Purpose. In your earlier years, your purpose may have been clear. You worked, you raised a family, you built a life. But after 60, when many of those roles shift, you might feel like you've lost your anchor. Here's the truth. Purpose doesn't retire. It evolves. You still matter. You still have wisdom to share, stories to tell, people to love, and causes to support. You have value simply because you exist. But if you want to feel that purpose daily, you've got to find something that lights you up. It doesn't have to be big. It could be gardening, teaching your grandkids how to cook, volunteering, writing a memoir, learning a language, joining a walking group. Anything that gives your days meaning. That brings us to another tool for mental well-being, connection. You need people. Even if you're an introvert, even if you like your solitude, humans were made to connect, to laugh, to talk, to listen, to be seen. And after 60, keeping those connections alive becomes one of the most protective factors for your mental health. This could mean regular calls with friends, coffee dates, game nights, book clubs, church groups, walking buddies, whatever form it takes. Those conversations, those laughs, those shared stories, they remind you that you're not doing life alone. And let's talk about your mindset. How you talk to yourself matters. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm too old for that, it's all downhill from here, I'm just a burden now, then it's time to challenge those thoughts. Because they're not truths, they're just stories. And you can rewrite them. Try this instead. I'm still growing. My wisdom has value. I'm allowed to enjoy this stage of life. Every day is a new chance. These affirmations aren't cheesy, they're medicine. Your brain believes what you tell it, so feed it thoughts that are hopeful, empowering, and kind. Now, let's address something that doesn't get talked about enough. It's okay to ask for help. Therapy is not a weakness, it's a tool. Talking to someone, a counselor, a spiritual advisor, a trusted friend, can be a lifeline. Sometimes you need an outside perspective to process your thoughts, your fears, your grief. And there is strength in seeking that help, not shame. Even daily habits can lift your mental health more than you'd expect. Getting sunlight in the morning, moving your body, listen to music, practicing gratitude, limiting how much news you consume, writing in a journal, taking quiet moments to breathe deeply. These small rituals ground your mind in the present and remind you that peace is always within reach. Here's another thing, laughter. Don't underestimate it. Find a reason to laugh every day. Watch a silly show, read a funny book, call the friend who always cracks you up. Laughter isn't just good for the soul, it boosts your immune system, relieves stress, and strengthens your heart. Who knew giggles could be so powerful? And finally, self-compassion. You've lived a long life, you've been through things, you've overcome more than most people know. So be gentle with yourself. Let go of perfection. Release the need to always be strong. Cry when you need to. Rest when you forgive yourself. Celebrate yourself. You've earned it. Mental health after 60 isn't about avoiding the hard stuff. It's about learning to ride the waves with grace. It's about choosing joy even in small moments. And it's about remembering that your mind is one of the most precious gifts you have. So take care of it. Listen to it. Feed it with curiosity, kindness, and connection. When your mind is healthy, everything else becomes easier. You feel more energized, you make better decisions, you show up better for others, and most importantly, you show up for yourself. Let's take a deep breath together. you're doing better than you think, and your best years are still full of possibility. There's a quiet truth that many people don't talk about until it hits them personally, and it usually happens sometime after they enter their 60s. It's the realization that life gets quieter, not just in volume, but in connection. Friends move away, family gets busy, loved ones pass on, and without meaning to, you find yourself spending more time alone. Now, don't get me wrong, solitude can be beautiful. Peaceful mornings, quiet coffee, time to reflect. But there's a big difference between solitude and loneliness. And the older we get, the more dangerous loneliness becomes. That's why your social life is one of the most powerful friends you can have after 60. It's not just about having someone to chat with, it's about staying emotionally grounded, mentally sharp, and even physically healthier. You see, we're wired for connection. Our bodies respond to social interaction. When you laugh with a friend, hug your grandchild, or have a heartfelt talk with someone who gets you, your brain releases chemicals like oxytocin and dopamine. These chemicals lower stress, reduce inflammation, and even help with healing. That's not fluff, that's biology. Now imagine the opposite. You go days, maybe weeks without meaningful conversation. You scroll through your phone for hours. You hear the tick of the clock louder than the sound of voices. Maybe your children are grown and live far away. Maybe your spouse passed. Maybe your old friends are no longer around. This silence, this lack of connection is not just sad, it's dangerous. Loneliness increases your risk of heart disease. Loneliness affects your immune system. Loneliness is linked to memory loss and cognitive decline. And yes, loneliness can shorten your life. That's why your social life after 60 isn't optional. It's essential. But here's the good news. It's never too late to build a new circle. Maybe your old friends moved on. Maybe your social circle shrank. That's okay. The beauty of your 60s, 70s, and beyond is that you now get to choose your connections more intentionally than ever. So what does a healthy social life look like after 60? It starts with depth over width. You don't need 50 friends. You don't need to be at every party. You just need a few solid connections. People who see you, people who listen without judgment, people who make you laugh, who check on you, who know what you've been through and love you anyway. These people could be lifelong friends, or they could be new friends you haven't met yet. You might find them in your neighborhood, at your church, in a hobby class, or in a local volunteer group. You might connect over a shared love of books, gardening, music, or even daily walks in the park. The key is to say yes more. Say yes to the invitation. Say yes to coffee. Say yes to walking with someone new. Say yes to that art class you've been curious about. Say yes to meeting your neighbor's dog. Say yes to community. It also means staying open. It can be scary to meet new people, to open up, to feel vulnerable, but every meaningful connection starts with that tiny leap of courage. And after 60, courage looks like walking into a room where you don't know anyone and staying anyway. Don't underestimate the value of intergenerational friendships either. Spending time with younger people, your grandkids, neighbors, and community members can keep your perspective fresh and your energy alive. On the flip side, mentorship can be incredibly fulfilling. You have wisdom to share, life lessons, stories, experiences. Don't keep them bottled up. Someone out there needs to hear what you've lived through. Now, let's talk about romantic relationships too. Maybe you're married, maybe you're widowed, maybe you're divorced or single by choice. No matter what your relationship status is, love, intimacy, and companionship don't expire with age. If you want connection, you deserve it. Whether it's holding hands on a walk or simply having someone to sit beside during dinner, those moments matter. If you're in a relationship, nurture it. Keep learning about each other, keep laughing, keep showing affection. And if you're single and open to it, don't be afraid to meet someone new. Love after 60 can be just as thrilling and meaningful as it was in your 20s, sometimes even more so, because now you know what truly matters. Even beyond friendship or romance, community is crucial. Community gives you belonging. It reminds you that you're part of something bigger. So whether it's a religious group, a senior center, a book club, or a local gardening project, find your people. Show up for them, let them show up for you, because here's the truth. You were never meant to do life alone. And here's the better truth. You don't have to. One call, one visit, one group, one hobby, that's all it takes to begin rebuilding your social circle. And remember, just like your body and your mind, your social life is something that needs regular care. Water it, feed it, prioritize it. So many people after 60 let their social lives wither quietly in the background. They assume isolation is just part of aging, But you're here reading this, which means you still want more and you deserve more. There is love out there for you, friendship, laughter, community. It's waiting. You just have to take the first step. So now that we've talked about all three essential friends, you need, after 60, your physical health, your mental health, and your social life. Are you ready for the final part now that we've talked in depth about the three most important friends? You need, after 60, your physical health, your mental health, and your social life. It's time to zoom out and reflect on what all this means for you, because here's the truth. Getting older doesn't mean getting smaller. It doesn't mean shrinking your life. It means refining it. After 60, you don't need dozens of people in your corner. You need a few who truly matter. You don't need to run marathons. You just need to move consistently. You don't need to be busy. You need to be fulfilled. And most of all, you don't need to chase youth. You need to honor your experience and nurture what's still growing inside you. Let's look at these three friends one more time, but this time as a guide for how to walk with them hand in hand for the decades ahead. Your physical health, treat it like a garden. Think of your physical health like a garden you've been tending for decades. In your 20s, you threw in seeds and hoped for the best. In your 30s and 40s, maybe you pulled a few weeds. But now, in your 60s and beyond, the garden shows you what you've nurtured and what needs extra care. So what do? Don't panic. You get to work. You move your body not out of punishment, but out of love. You stretch in the morning, not because it's trendy, but because your back will thank you later. You walk not to burn calories, but to greet the world one step at a time. You eat with intention. You hydrate because your cells depend on it. You sleep because your body repairs itself when you do. And when something hurts, you listen. You don't ignore it. You don't push through. You treat your body like the wise, experienced vessel that it is, with care, with respect, and with patience. When you make peace with your body and take steps to support it, even the smallest improvements, less pain, better energy, easier movement, can transform how you experience your days. Your mental health, keep it curious, keep it kind. Your mind is your storyteller. It shapes how you see the world, how you remember the past, and how you imagine the future. After 60, your mind is carrying a lot: memories, wisdom, regrets, dreams, worries, joy, loss, all of it. That's why your mental health needs your love and attention too. Feed your brain new information, read, learn, write, ask questions, explore new music, learn to play an instrument, try a new recipe, start a small journal. Your brain, like a muscle, loves a challenge. But more importantly, speak kindly to yourself. Let go of the voices that tell you you're too old, too late, or too far gone. They're wrong. You're still here, you're still learning, you're still growing, and your mental health blooms when you treat yourself like a friend, not a critic. Your social life, nurture it like a fire. Social connection is like a fire. It needs regular fuel to stay warm. After 60, it's easy for the fire to dim. Life shifts, people move on. But that doesn't mean your fire has to go out. It just means you need to tend it more intentionally. Call someone today. Set a coffee date. Join that class you've been thinking about. Smile at someone new. Invite a neighbor over. Reconnect with someone you miss. Reach out even if you're nervous. And remember, quality matters more than quantity. One deep conversation is worth more than 100 small talks. Your social life isn't a luxury, it's a lifeline. Living fully after 60 and beyond. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've talked about. If you're in your 60s, you're not over the hill. You're just climbing a new one with a better view. If you're in your 70s, your wisdom is your strength. This is the decade to savor and shine. If you're in your 80s or 90s, you are a living library, a walking story, a treasure chest of perspective. No matter your age, your story isn't over. You have today, and today is enough to start again. Let's also take a moment to talk about gratitude. Even if you feel like your body has slowed down, your energy isn't what it used to be, your life hasn't turned out exactly as you planned, you are here. You've lived through decades, you've survived heartache, you've witnessed joy, you've created, loved, lost, laughed, and endured. That is worth celebrating. So be gentle with yourself. Give yourself credit. You're doing better than you think. And as you walk forward into your 70s, 80s, and beyond, do it with these three loyal friends by your side: your physical health, your mental health, and your social life. They don't require perfection, just attention. A little reminder before we wrap: if this message spoke to you even a little, I encourage you to take just one step today. Maybe it's a walk around the block. Maybe it's calling a friend. Maybe it's setting out a journal and writing down what's on your mind. And if you enjoyed this, Please take a moment to like and subscribe. We share powerful messages like this to help people just like you live their healthiest, happiest, most connected life after 60. Your support helps us keep going, and your life deserves content made with care, understanding, and purpose. Thank you for being here. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and stay connected.